Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan. Let's get to the show.
And May is actually coming with me this time, which I'm really excited because Azan's gonna get to meet her for the first time. Come here, let's try to call Azan. You know, I want to think and say that Azan would be a good father to May, but as of right now, honestly, I don't know. And, you know, that's what I need to see. That's what's really important.
Okay, good. I don't know if he's going to be a good father. And so, let's see how this goes. And then I can make a more informed decision as to whether or not I want to move forward with this relationship. The way that the family treats her, particularly the mom and the brother, is that she doesn't have that thought in her head, that she's so stupid that that thought has not occurred to her. And of course, that thought has occurred to her.
Morocco, and we're here having dinner with my family. I'm a little nervous because my mom's already mad that I'm gonna take May to Morocco with me.
You guys enjoy.
Thank you.
My mom still doesn't know that my dad's gonna sponsor Azan, and I don't know how she's gonna react.
And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not in support of Nicole exposing May, the young May, to this relationship with her and Azan. I don't know if this is a good idea. There's not enough data that the show has told us as to whether or not I would be able to predict that. But I just want to be clear, as a therapist, I don't comment on people's decisions like this. Now, if Nicole said something like, I want to smoke crack in front of my child, and I want to invite random drug dealers to the house and hang out with my daughter May, then yeah, there are certain things that are way beyond the threshold of which there is very likely going to be harm to the child. And I would comment on that. So it's not like I don't comment on anything. But there's a pretty wide range of behaviors where it's just like, well, who knows? A lot of people make bad choices. Or a lot of people make choices that have good sides to it and bad sides to it. And sometimes it's a matter of the lesser of several evils. And the central thing that is important to remember is that we all have needs. Every human being has needs. We have needs for food and sustenance, but we also have needs for attachment and love and romance and sex. Not everyone, but most people. And we're responsible for knowing our needs and meeting our needs. And what a lot of people will do is they will look at a single mother and they will say, well, you can't meet your romantic and sexual needs anymore because you have a child. Well, if you don't have your needs met, bad things can sometimes happen. I've seen a lot of things happen where single mothers will deny that need. One is that they will end up relying on their child to meet all of their, shall we say, soulmate needs, and then enmeshment happens, and the kid isn't allowed to be a kid. The mother will confide a lot in the kid because they don't have a partner, a soulmate to go through life with. They might feel very alone and overwhelmed. Parenting can be very, very hard, and you need to have other people around you, at the very least, to just vent with and have an adult conversation with. So all those things have to be balanced out, and some things might suffer. People say like, well, Nicole shouldn't be with anyone because she needs to concentrate on being a mother. Okay, if Nicole was a robot, I suppose, but she wants to find a soulmate like anyone else, like most people do, and she deserves to do that. Now, is this a good choice? I don't know. I don't have enough data to know yet. We'll find out together.
So I have some good news.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Dad and Christy decided to sponsor Azan.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that great news, Mom?
You guys really want to go through all that? What she wants is what she wants, and she thinks that everybody should cater to that. She just keeps bulldozing her way through it. That part worries me.
So I'll just point out, it's interesting that she sees Nicole as the bulldozer. I just want to point that out.
When Nicole approached me about this, I was pretty adamant about not doing it. I didn't want to be a crutch for Nicole. She tends to get herself into situations and then she expects us to bail her out.
So I will say that is not an unhealthy viewpoint, because that's exactly what I've been talking about, is Nicole, as according to the mom, is she backs herself into a corner, and then she will ask other people to bail her out. And that is the dilemma of that kind of relationship. When you make someone feel like a child their whole life, they tend to act like a child, and then they will suck you in to save them. And I have no doubt that Nicole has done that, given the dynamic that we've seen. And so the mom has wisely decided, look, this is one of those moments where she's backed herself into a corner and she is screaming from the corner saying, save me. But I want her to grow up. I want her to realize that life isn't like that when you're 22. You need to make your own life. You're responsible for your own life. What the mom isn't, I think, having in mind is, I want to give the message to Nicole that she can solve her own problems, because I don't think that's what the mom is vibing with. I think she's vibing with, you are a bad person, you're stupid, you make dumb choices, and I'm not going to save you. From the conversation they've had in the previous season, that was what we saw on the show anyway. But it isn't a bad choice just to be like, I want Nicole to grow up and realize that life isn't about other people saving you all the time. And so I'm not going to save you this time. That there is definite wisdom to that. But you'd have to follow it up with, and Nicole, I believe that you can do it. I believe in you. I believe that you have the ability to solve your own problems. You want to build them up. And if there's a way I can assist you in solving your own problems, like I'm not going to sponsor Azan, but a big part of it was you earning more money, so you don't need a sponsor. Is there anything I can do to help you find another job? I'm not going to give you another job. I'm not going to write your resume. But do you need help with writing your resume? Do you need help thinking about your career? Because I believe in you, and I'm here to support you. There are things you can do. You don't just have to back off completely. But that would be the approach that I would recommend to the family if I was treating them.
Making anyone do anything they don't want to.
Given Nicole's history, we're pretty sure that she's going to keep working on this until they are together. Whether we like it or not, whether it's here in America or not, we would rather her be here if things go bad.
Okay, interesting. So the dad is saying she's determined one way or the other, and we'd rather have her be here if things go bad than if she were in Morocco and things went bad. So, I guess there's some wisdom to that as well.
If something happens or you guys get divorced, we're still responsible for him up to 10 years.
10?
If we got divorced.
So basically, she's going to hold the family hostage.
Mom, will you quit? They already made their decision.
I'm not telling you that I think Azan is a bad person, because I haven't really had an opportunity to get to know
You
him.
should try to get to know him before.
Well, it'd be nice, but since he doesn't seem to Skype with me, it's going to be kind of hard.
Okay, so this is very interesting. So as a family therapist, this is something that I observed all the time. And unless you really are looking for the data, it can sometimes go past you. So the dad and the mom have the same worries and seemingly a very similar point of view about Nicole, but they go about it in completely different ways. And the dynamic between father and daughter and mother is completely different. We see that with daughter and mother, immediately the sarcasm, the sniping at each other, the attacking of each other, the bickering. With dad, there wasn't the bickering. Why is that? I don't know. I'd have to really ask them about the history of the family and where the parents came from. A lot of times when I would treat families, I would pull the parents aside and I would talk with them about their own childhoods. How were they raised? What attachment issues did they go through that they are enacting with their children? What past relationships have been left unresolved that they're reenacting with their children? I would just take a guess and say that in the mom's family there was bickering between the mother when she was a child and one of her parents. I don't know. But I want to rewind that because it was just so instant, the way that they just locked in to this enmeshed bickering.
So basically, she's going to hold the family hostage.
Mom, will you quit? They already made their decision.
I'm not telling you that I think Azan is a bad person, because I haven't really had an opportunity to get to know
You
him.
should try to get to know him before.
Well, it'd be nice, but since he doesn't seem to Skype with me, it's going to be kind of hard.
He's shy.
Can't have it both ways. You can't tell us to stay out of your life and then tell us we have to be in your life.
I've tried to get you to talk to him and get to know him.
Have you Skyped him?
So you just see a very different way of dealing with it. And if I were to talk with the parents, particularly the mom, I would completely validate her feelings. She's a good mother because she worries about her daughter. She's a good grandmother because she worries about her granddaughter. That is good. She's worried. If she didn't worry, I would worry about her. She's worried. What do we do with that worry? What do we do with that? To bicker and oppose is in all likelihood just going to create more rebellion from Nicole because she feels like she has to rebel in order to prove that she's not a minion of the mother. For those of you out there who have been in a relationship like that with someone who is in control of you, either a parent or a boss or something, you know what that's like. You are being beat down, you're being told you're not good enough, there's the bickering, and then you just do things because you just want to prove that they don't control you. Well, you don't want to, as a mother, you don't want to create a situation like that, right? With your daughter, because that could compel her to do things that would not be good for her or the family. You want her to be supported. You want her to think for herself. You want to, suggest. I've had these conversations so many times with parents. A big part of it was this notion between guidance and control, which I'll go briefly into. But I would really have to talk for a long time about this with parents, and it would only get through to parents 1 out of 10 times. But so. Similar to when a child, so let's talk about, children at different ages. When the child is 7 years old and they say, I don't want to go to school, well, that's just not going to, they're going to go to school. Nope, you're getting in the car, we're going to school. Or the kid is saying, I want to move out of the house at age 13. You're like, nope, you're not moving out of the house. So that's control. So you exhibit control under certain situations. You're just like, there's no negotiating here. This is just what's going to happen. But as the child ages, it's particularly by the time they're 22, 23, then you want to start engaging in more guidance kinds of things. And guidance begins early in life. Like, let me go back to the analogy of the kid is at the, my dog is barking at mailman or a squirrel or a rabbit or something. The 4-year-old is on the playground, and the kid comes back and says, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Should I play on that thing or should I play on that thing? Well, instead of controlling that and saying, you should play on that thing, you would guide them. You say, well, which one do you want to play on? And the 4-year-old is like, I think I want to play on that one. Okay, well then, why don't you play on that one and then see how it goes? And then you can come back and tell me how it went. And the kid's like, oh, okay. So in that moment, you're guiding, okay? And at the age of 17, when the kid is saying something like, I don't know if I should break up with this person or not, you don't control it, you guide. You help them to develop their own sense of self and their own decision-making skills. At the age that Nicole is on, as a young adult in her early 20s, you want to help her to make her own choices. And there's this issue of, so when you have anxiety about your child, think about that why in the road. Do I control? Because sometimes you want to control for sure. Or do I guide? Which is better? I want to do something. I got to do something. And that's what I would get from a lot of parents when I would say the controlling route is not necessarily going to help you in the end. And a lot of 9 times out of 10, maybe 100 times out of 100, the parents would say, so I'm just supposed to do nothing? I'm just supposed to do nothing? And I'd be like, no, you're not supposed to do nothing. You're just supposed to go into a guidance mode, a mode that helps them to make their own choices, a mode of influence. If the mother wants to influence Nicole, she and Nicole have to have a good relationship, a relationship in which Nicole trusts her mother's opinion. At this point, I'm guessing Nicole doesn't trust the mother's opinion at all, because the mother has been so opposing and so controlling and so rigid about it that Nicole isn't going to hear the mother at all. The dad, on the other hand, has an attitude of like, well, I want to be of influence, and so I'm going to work with her on this and maybe have a good, I don't know what Nicole's relationship is like with dad, because they haven't shown us much. But if the relationship is at least better than the relationship with the mom, then the dad can say, look, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Azan do this and that. I'm worried about May. What do you think? I'm really worried. Let's talk about this. At this point, the way that the mom talks to Nicole, it's not going to help because of that pattern of control and that very habitual pattern of bickering, control, put downs, Nicole acting like a child, blah, blah, blah. So if I was talking with a mom, I would say, you care. It's great. You care. Let's talk about how you might be able to guide and have a good bond so you can influence. The way you're going about it isn't necessarily going to reduce your anxiety. It just might make it worse. The way you're going about it might not help Nicole make good choices. It might just make it worse. Let's experiment with some other ways. And that's what I always did with parents is I always said, look, there's so many different ways to parent healthy children, and there's no recipe book to how to do it. It's a matter of experimentation. And so I would offer that up. I would say, given my experience with all the other families I've worked on, this is what I'm proposing as a suggestion to try. Let's see if it works. Let's give it a couple months and see if it changes anything. If it doesn't change anything, then we'll either go back to the way you're doing it, or maybe we'll brainstorm another way. That's the way I would frame it. I would never frame it like, I know the best thing you're supposed to do, because as a family therapist, I knew well enough to know that I had no idea. Families are so different. People are so different. Dynamics are so different. There's just no way to know. But experimentation is worth it, especially when there's so much frustration.
Isn't there something we can do to get you to leave May here? The family said they'd pitch in.
I understand you guys are worried about it, but you guys shouldn't be so worried.
You're going to be over there. You're going to want to enjoy your time with her. You're going to have her with you 100% of the time. And she's going to be like this. And you're not going to have
that's gonna be
5 people to back you up.
So you guys need to trust him and trust me that I trust him.
Don't put yourself in any situations where you could be in danger, or May could be in danger. Think 2 or 3 times.
Everything will be okay.
So again, there's nothing wrong with the mom worrying about Nicole, worrying about May. She would be a bad mom if she didn't worry about it. But you notice the way she communicates it. Make sure you think 2 or 3 times, and don't put yourself or May into any danger. So the message there, so if you just did verbatim, it's like, okay, rational thing to say. But given their habitual pattern, there's a very clear message that the mom is giving to Nicole, in my opinion, is that, Nicole, you don't know what you're doing. You're incompetent. You're a fool. And if you think about things once, you're usually wrong. If you think about things twice, you're usually wrong. You need to think things over 3-4 times before you can even possibly maybe make a good choice. I'm guessing that if I just took Nicole out of this right now, I said, what message, if I just said that, is this what it sounds like your mom was saying? I'm guessing Nicole would say, yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting. That's the vibe I always get from my mom. So there's nothing wrong with the mom being afraid. There's nothing wrong with the mom wanting to guide and communicate. So what am I looking for? What I'm looking for from the mom is to say something like this. Nicole, you're a grown woman. You can make your own choices. May is your daughter. You can make your own choices. I, as your mother, as May's grandmother, I'm going to worry. And I don't know Azan well enough. So yeah, maybe I should get to know him better. And I'm sorry that I've been such a rigid person up until now. So maybe him and I can exchange emails at first, or you say that he's shy, but maybe just a little bit of conversation. I promise that I'm going to be as nice as possible. I really want to get to know him, because at this point, I have no idea who this person is. It's just this black hole of the unknown that I'm terrified of. So maybe you could help me out with that. I'm also concerned about you going to Morocco with her. I trust you. You've been there before. Things are going to be safe. But I just have to say, it just is really scary to me. So can you tell me more about how you're going to be safe? Like, what kinds of things are you going to do? You don't have to tell me, because it's your life, but you could really help me out if you could kind of tell me what your thought process is regarding safety for you and May. Just give me a little bit more detail, because it'll help me sleep better at night. That's kind of what I'm looking for, something along those lines. That's a matter of respect. It'll help bond you and help so that you can actually influence Nicole when the time comes. It also gives the impression that you believe in your daughter, that she can make good choices, which is going to bolster her self-esteem, to help her make good choices. And it also won't create this dynamic where Nicole feels like she has to rebel against mom just to prove that she's an independent human being.
She's old enough to do what she wants to do, but May doesn't know what she's getting into. And we don't know what May's getting into. And we're concerned.
And I'm pretty sure if you need to, you can probably shorten up that round trip so you can come back early. You've got a lot more at stake.
All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me. Please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.